everyone. Welcome back to the Education of Time, exploring history. Today we have a special guest joining us, a student from LaSalle, Victor Golaher. So Victor's keen interest in Philippine history and his studies at LaSalle make him the perfect person to dive deep into the life and legacy of José Rizal. So we'll be discussing Rizal's early life, his impactful writings, and how his ideas resonate with us today. So let us all welcome Victor.
Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited to talk about this song. He is such an important figure. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with Rizal's early life. So first question, what do you think motivated him to join the reform movement?
Well, for to start for his early life, he was born again in 1861 in Calamba. And from a very young age, he was incredibly gifted, as we know. He excelled in languages and in arts. But to
Mm-hmm.
answer the question, it was just the influence or the injustice he witnessed in his own family and larger community of the
Yeah.
Filipinos in Spanish rule that really sparked his desire for reforms. He
Mm-hmm.
saw unfair treatment and fueled his passion for peaceful change.
Right. So it wasn't just about his own experience, huh? But how he saw the larger system oppressing everyone. So,
Yeah.
what do you think really shaped his education and his political views?
Well, for a background again, he studied both here in the Philippines and in Europe. And
Mm-hmm.
during his time in Europe, he was exposed to revolutionary ideas that were happening all over the world. Ideas about freedom,
Mm,
justice, equality. He saw the kind of oppression Filipinos were facing and was deeply affected by it. His education gave him the tools to fight for social justice, especially through his writings.
mm. Yeah, that's fascinating. So, moving on, let's talk about his novels. So, are you excited, bro? I know that all of us are familiar with his novels. So,
Yeah.
how do you think Nole Mitangere and El Filibusterismo influenced the public?
Both novels were really incredibly impactful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We saw it is still relevant in these days, but Nolly really opened the people's eyes to deep corruption in the church and in government. It
yeah.
inspired hope for change, kind
Mm.
of like a call to action. While El Fili was more direct and urgent, it pushed for actual action and resistance against the oppressive system. These books lit a fire under people and became a tool for social political awakening.
So, what themes do you think in his books are still relevant today?
Well, results addressed for corruption, social justice, and abuse of power is
Yeah.
still relevant in today's society, as we see
Mm-hmm.
in government issues we still deal with today. But he also stressed the importance of education and national identity. I think those themes resonates now more than ever, especially when we think about building a better society.
Yeah, that's so true, bro. So Rizal was all about peaceful reform, right? So how did
Yeah.
his views differ from revolutionaries like Bonifacio?
Actually, exactly he was. But Rizal believed in using education and dialogue to promote change, hoping to
Yeah.
avoid violence. He thought that rebellion would only lead to more suffering for the
Mhm.
Filipino people.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, figures like Bonifacio and Aguinaldo believed armed resistance was necessary to fight for independence. They felt the need to take immediate action against the Spanish.
So that's a great point you have there. So, do you think Rizal's approach could have changed the outcome for the Philippines?
I guess maybe
Yeah.
Rizal's strategy was definitely more gradual and intellectual, but I think the conditions in the Philippines were so dire at the point that more immediate action probably became necessary. His ideals would have been great in a perfect world, but the reality of Spanish oppression was tough to ignore.
So, absolutely. So, now
Mhm.
let's talk about Rizal's execution. So, how did it inspire Filipinos to take action?
Well, his execution was a huge turning point. It
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
galvanized the Filipino people, turning him into a martyr. His
Yeah.
death became a rallying cry for revolution. It was
Yeah.
his sacrifice that truly reunited people and gave them the courage to fight back. Without
Yeah.
results, movements like the Katipunan might
Mm.
not be or might not have gained the same momentum as it is right now.
So his legacy really lives on, huh? So how do you think Rizal's
Mhm.
legacy influences modern Filipinos?
Rizal's is like the ultimate symbol of Filipino identity.
Yeah.
His commitment to education, justice, and
Mm.
the fight for equality continues to inspire people.
Yeah.
Filipinos today still look up to him
Mm.
as someone who showed us the power of peaceful protest and
Yeah.
and electoral resistance.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
so Miss Spencer, what do you think Rizal would say about the Philippines today?
Well, he'd be proud on progress in education and democracy, but would urge Filipinos to address ongoing issues like corruption and inequality.
Okay, so how about Mr. Figalan? What is Rizal's most important lessons for today's youth?
Results key lessons the power of education. It can encourage the youth to be informed and use their voices to advocate for change.
So, okay, that's all.
Exactly. So education is key. So if Rizal were alive today, what role do you think he would play in society?
I guess if Rizal would, if he's alive right now, he would be definitely still be an advocate for reforms, but
Yeah.
particularly in education, governance, and social justice. He'd be a leader, pushing for a fairer, more just society. His focus would always be on empowering people through knowledge and peaceful
Yeah.
activism.
All right, his message would be so needed today. So how can a young Filipinos learn from Rizal's example in today's world?
As Rizal's example teaches us that knowledge is power.
Mm.
He also showed the importance of unity and peaceful action. Young
Mhm.
Filipinos can take this lesson or his lesson forward by fighting for better education,
Mm.
standing for their rights, and advocating meaningful social reforms.
So such a great insights. So thank you so much, Victor, for sharing with us today. Rizal's legacy really does continue to inspire so many, right? So
Yeah,
thank you.
sorry.
Thank you, Victor. Anything you would want to say?
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk about Rizal and how impactful he is and still relevant in today's generation.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing your insights on Rizal today. His legacy truly lives on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk about Rizal's impact.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We hope you learned something new about Jose Rizal and how his ideas continue to shape the Philippines. Until next time, stay curious and keep the conversation going.